I guess I won't be needing this anymore. Wave the checkered flag, folks. The NASCAR antitrust lawsuit has been settled.
Michael Jordan just won another championship, but this time it wasn't on the basketball court. On December 11th, 2025, in a Charlotte courtroom, Jordan and his race team scored a major victory against NASCAR that could change the sport forever. After more than a year of legal fighting, NASCAR settled its antitrust lawsuit with Michael Jordan's 2311 Racing and Front Row Motorsports. The settlement came on the 9th day of trial, just hours before more testimony was scheduled to begin. Both sides walked out of that courtroom with smiles, handshakes, and even hugs. The trial had been going for 8 days. Lawyers were presenting their case, witnesses were testifying. Then suddenly, Judge Kenneth Bell called for a sidebar meeting. He told the jury he needed an hour. Attorney Jeffrey Kessler, who represents the two teams, came out of a conference room and told the court clerk, "We're ready." What came next was remarkable. Kessler led Michael Jordan, his partner Denny Hamlin, and Front Row owner Bob Jenkins into another room for more talks. NASCAR's lawyers joined them. 2 hours later, they had a deal. Judge Bell brought the jury back one final time. He asked both sides if they had settled all issues. The lawyers said yes. Bell then thanked the jury for their service and told them the case was over. The judge made it clear how he felt about the settlement. "I believe this is great for NASCAR, great for the future of NASCAR, great for the entity of NASCAR, great for the teams, and ultimately great for the fans," Bell said in court. The scene in the courtroom showed just how intense this fight had been. According to reporter Jeff Gluck from The Athletic, there was a big scene in the courtroom with handshakes and even hugs between all the participants on both sides. Even Denny Hamlin and Jim France hugged. Just 1 day earlier, these same people were fighting against each other in court. Now they were hugging. So what did the teams actually win? The biggest victory is something called evergreen charters. This means the charters will be permanent instead of temporary. Teams no longer have to worry about their charters ending in a few years. They can plan for the long future. The official joint statement from NASCAR 2311 Racing and Front Row Motorsports said, "NASCAR 2311 Racing and Front Row Motorsports are pleased to announce a mutually agreed upon resolution that delivers long-term stability and creates the conditions for meaningful growth for all teams in a more competitive environment." The statement continued, "As a condition of the settlement agreement, NASCAR will issue an amendment to existing charter holders detailing the updated terms for signature, which will include a form of evergreen charters, subject to mutual agreement. The financial terms of the settlement are confidential and will not be released." Michael Jordan spoke to reporters outside the courthouse. He explained why reaching this settlement was important. "Both parties feel like it's worth it, because we understand we had to work together," Jordan said. "Compromise in every negotiation is one of the toughest things that you can do, and I think that you can say that we both compromised on both of our agendas, and I think we both come to the conclusion that it's better for the sport." Jordan talked about what this means for NASCAR's future. "The fans have always been the best solution to this, over us here, to the sport itself. The only way that, and I've said this from day one, the only way this sport is going to grow is we have to find some synergy between the two entities," Jordan said. "And I think we've gotten to that point. Unfortunately, it took 16 months to get here, but I think level heads have got us to this point to where we can actually work together and really grow this sport. I'm very proud about that." NASCAR Chairman Jim France stood right next to Jordan as he spoke. France agreed with everything Jordan said. "I feel the same," France said. "We can get back to a focus on what we really love, and that's racing. We made a very good decision here together. We have a good opportunity here to grow the sport." This moment was powerful. Jordan talked about the France family and their history with NASCAR. "I grew up watching Jim's father build this sport," Jordan said. "I didn't want to have to tear it down. I don't think he wanted it to be tore down. But I think in the calmer circumstances, we actually voiced what our interest may have been, collectively, and at the end of the day, we reached some type of compromise. And to me, that's in every negotiation. That's in every agreement. I'm very happy we stand on this step to move forward, as opposed to moving separate." Denny Hamlin, who is both a driver and co-owner of 2311 Racing, also shared his thoughts. "Everything within the settlement is going to grow the sport," Hamlin said. "It's going to be better for everyone. There's no doubt about it." In his official statement, Hamlin explained why this fight was so important to him. "I've cared deeply about the sport of NASCAR my entire life. Racing is all I've ever known, and this sport shaped who I am," Hamlin said. "That's why we were willing to shoulder the challenges that came with taking this stand. We believed it was worth fighting for a stronger and more sustainable future for everyone in the industry. teams, drivers, and partners will now have the stability and opportunity they deserve. Our commitment to the fans and to the entire NASCAR community has never been stronger. Hamlin also posted on social media about the settlement. He wrote, "Standing up isn't easy, but progress never comes from staying silent. The reward is in knowing you changed something." Michael Jordan's statement released after the settlement showed what this lawsuit was really about. From the beginning, this lawsuit was about progress. It was about making sure our sport evolves in a way that supports everyone: teams, drivers, partners, employees, and fans. Jordan said, "With a foundation to build equity and invest in the future and a stronger voice in the decisions ahead, we now have the chance to grow together and make the sport even better for generations to come." The team's attorney, Jeffrey Kessler, made his feelings clear too. "I'm pleased to say the parties have positively settled this matter in a way that will benefit the industry going forward," Kessler said in court. What does this settlement mean for all the other teams? Even though only 23XI Racing and Front Row filed the lawsuit, every chartered team in NASCAR will benefit. Rick Hendrick, owner of Hendrick Motorsports, released a statement praising the settlement. "Millions of loyal NASCAR fans and thousands of hardworking people rely on our industry, and today's resolution allows all of us to focus on what truly matters: the future of our sport. For more than 40 years, NASCAR racing has been my passion. I believe deeply in what we can accomplish when we work together." The atmosphere after the settlement showed how relieved everyone felt. Bob Pockras from Fox Sports reported that NASCAR attorneys were shaking hands and chatting with Jordan. NASCAR President Steve O'Donnell was seen talking with Jordan after everything was signed. These were the same people who had been fighting in court just hours earlier. The settlement came at a critical time in the trial. 8 days of testimony had revealed a lot about how NASCAR operates. An economist had testified that 23XI Racing, Front Row, were owed over $300 million in damages. If the jury had ruled in favor of the teams, the judge could have tripled that amount. NASCAR could also have been forced to sell its tracks or change how it does business. The joint statement from all parties emphasized their shared love for the sport. What all parties have always agreed on is a deep love for the sport and a desire to see it fulfill its full potential. This is a landmark moment, one that ensures NASCAR's foundation is stronger, its future is brighter, and its possibilities are greater. We extend our sincere thanks to Judge Kenneth Bell and mediator Jeffrey Mishkin for their professionalism and guidance throughout this process, and to their jury for their time. Judge Bell himself reflected on the timing of the settlement. "I wish we could have done this a few months ago," Bell said in court. His words showed that this settlement could have happened earlier, but it took the pressure of an actual trial to bring both sides together. This settlement changes everything for race teams. With permanent charters, teams can now make long-term plans. They can sign better sponsorship deals. They can invest more money in their operations. They don't have to worry about their charter disappearing in a few years. For Michael Jordan and Denny Hamlin, this represents a huge win. They stood up against NASCAR when other teams were afraid to do so. They risked everything by refusing to sign the charter agreement and filing this lawsuit. Now, they have achieved what they wanted: permanent charters and a stronger voice for teams. Jordan summed it up perfectly when he talked about compromise and moving forward. "Level heads won," Jordan said. "When you get to the finish line, sometimes you have to think not just for yourself, but you got to think about the sport as a whole. And I think both parties got to that point, and we realized that we can have an opportunity to settle this, and we dove in, and we actually did it. Unfortunately, it took us that long, but we got here, and that's all that matters." The settlement of December 11th, 2025 marks a turning point for NASCAR. Teams now have permanent charters. They have more stability. They have a stronger foundation to build on. And most importantly, NASCAR and its teams are working together instead of fighting in court. As Jordan said, both sides can now focus on what really matters: growing the sport and giving fans the best racing possible.